Shalom. Let me get straight into this lesson. But I was watching the beloved elder, um, Mata Zakbar, had went into this, he did a lesson on Stockholm Syndrome. And it was this Jake woman, so-called black woman, was dialoguing with these brothers. And they had this image right here up. And she got highly offended because they go to show you that what this is true, what we've been saying. You know, most of our people, 98% of people in this world still see this imagery in their mind. This is a mental captivity that most of our people still in, because this image right here is so deep into the spirit that this is who everybody sees in their mind. That's why we tell you to don't stop saying that name Jesus, because that name Jesus comes with this imagery, and that's a lie. So his true name is Yahweh Shai, and that imagery comes up a different imagery in your mind. All right, so the true Messiah out of the Bible, it was a so-called black man, point blank, period. But and by me doing this lesson is gonna offend a lot of people, but we don't give a damn. We got to do this for truth's sake. We're not here to spare your feelings. But this is the demon, and if you really go into this, I did a lesson in particular on this image right here. This guy named Warner Salmon painted this image right here. This is like, let me see, let me look this up real quick. Because I did a lesson, you go through my lessons, and a lot of you brothers and you sisters got to start going through the older lessons. All right? And you got to start checking for the videos. Check for the videos. Start going through the older lessons and learn. There's always something to learn. So Warner Salmon, I did a lesson on this, was a painter, American painter. And he created this image of this image right here in particular. This devil say he had a dream and he said he saw the Messiah. But that's a lie. This is nothing but witchcraft right here. But this is who, if you keep showing somebody an image over and over and over and over, ever since they was a little kid, this is what they're going to see in their mind if they don't challenge that. And we're here to break down that stronghold. And most of the nigger women of our nation, they're in love with this guy right here. And it's something called Stockholm Syndrome. The elder did a beautiful lesson going into Stockholm Syndrome. And I often go into the psychology of things because everything starts in the mind. And the Stockholm Syndrome is real. Just because we woke up, these people, they in La La Land. They in Goof Troop land, bugged out land. They don't know what the fuck is going on. So consider yourself blessed. But this is who 98% of this world still see in their mind, this guy here. And we'll tell them this the devil, and they'll get highly offended because deep inside of their spirit, this is who they still see. This is who they bow down before in their mind. This is who they pray to. And by you doing that subconsciously, you already you look at the so-called white race as divinity, divine. You know, that's how you look at it, because this image right here. But our people, this ain't nothing new. Let's go ahead and this term Stockholm Syndrome. Because our people are mentally fucked up. And I'm just telling you straight, cold, hard facts. They fucked up in the mind. Excuse my roughness. And a lot of them ain't coming back from this. It's just what it is. The 2/3 are already dead anyway. You know. It says Stockholm Syndrome is a psychological coping mechanism. So it's a coping mechanism that they're doing in some cases that can develop in victims of captivity or abuse. You'll tell these knucklehead ninjas that they still in captivity. They don't believe that because they don't have any physical chains on their body. They don't get the different ranges of captivity. They don't understand that they're under another man's system. They didn't set the laws up. They didn't set anything up in this society. You integrated into somebody else's society that already made the laws. They already told you the rules of the game. They created the game, and they got the game rigged up in their favor. But you trying to make sense out of this. You can't make sense out of madness. It says causing them to identify with and develop positive feelings towards their captors. So when we say, according thus said Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah, that the nation of Edom is going into captivity, that gets our people offended because they don't care about any other nationality or ethnicity of people besides their slave master. That's how you know they still sick. And they can't see themselves of no kind of divinity, no kind of power. But we have a ruling class mentality. All right. We're not in the peasant mindset of the 2/3. The 2/3 are marked for destruction. Let's go here. It says Stockholm Syndrome is a proposed condition or theory that tries to explain why hostages, you still in captivity, you've been taken captive. You don't control anything. You don't control anything. You don't understand this. Like our people can't understand basic fundamentals of how life works. You don't control shit. You're in captivity. I don't give a fuck how many times you can run to Chick-fil-A. Sometimes develop a psychological bond with their captors. So when we say the nation of Edom is going into captivity and they'll have to pay for their crimes and atrocities, that's the first thing our people cry out for. Their oppressor. Let's go here. And this ain't nothing new for our people. This been a legacy of Israel crying out, right? Begging for their oppressors, having a burning love for their oppressors, yet they hate their own people. Isaiah 30:12. Wherefore thus said the Holy One of Israel, Yahweh. That's your power. It ain't God. That ain't his correct name. When you call on God, you calling on an idol. Because ye despise this word. So our people want to hear the motivational speak. They want to hear the warm and fuzzy, feel-good Christian doctrine that they've been hearing ever since they was in pre-K. They want to hear that shit. Because they really don't want the veracity, the truth of the Bible. That's why they're nitpick and say, oh, I like the message, but you're using so-called curse words. A lot of you jakes can't even spell curse words, right? Because you despise this word. So this word is going to be rough. It's going to be rugged. It's not going to be to your taste of your Christianity palate. And trust in oppression. Our people actually trust in voting. They trust in the system. The same system has beat them down, destroyed them, got them out. You think the person that put you in captivity, had you in hardcore bondage, gonna ever teach you the truth? You got to be fucking out of your mind. But a lot of you really think that. You think the politicians are running this system. The politicians have sold out to the corporations which are run by J people, small hats. You figured out. It says in trust and oppression. You actually trust in this shit. That's why the anger flares up through the Lord, through us. You flare up on you Israelites. That's out of your mind. And perverseness. Who is this? Not Esau perverse? This is a perverse society. You so stupid. A lot of people so stupid. They can't discern the LGBT is satanic. They think it's some kind of way that the Most High allows that. That's how stupid and bugged out they is. And stay there on. I mean, you're not trying to come out of it. That's frame of thought. That mentality. Now that you got a problem with a lot of stuff about this Bible, so you really don't believe in the Bible. A lot of you people believe in the version of Christianity that you've been taught. And it comes in different genres, right? Because you got different versions of Christianity, but it all got that image in common. They still push so-called white supremacy. They get to be in charge. They get to control everything. They get to have the authority over you and the authority over what you believe for as your God, so-called. But yet you follow that. You think that's the right way. You think this is how it should be. All you focus on is surviving. Keep going. And we tell you people all day, I'm just talking to the people outside of this truth. You brothers and you sisters know what time it is already. And if you new, listen and learn. This ain't to have your fucking opinion. We don't want your opinion. We don't give a damn about your opinion. All that matters is this truth. Thus said Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah. That's it. Hosea 4:6. And that's the problem. Everybody got a fucking opinion in Babylon. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. It didn't say lack of land. It didn't say lack of so-called money. Because Jacob put that on you, right? It says lack of knowledge. Everything in life is based around knowledge, but you got to have the correct knowledge. But our people have no value into the spiritual knowledge. That comes first. But you people do the ass backwards. You put the stock into the physical world because that's all you can see in front of you. It says, because thou hast rejected knowledge. So when we bring this truth to our people, they don't want to accept it. They're gonna reject it because they gonna nitpick. They're gonna say, I agree with some of it. Well, I agree with 98% of it. I agree with most of it, but you use harsh language. You see what I'm saying? There's no winning with our people. So we just got to bring it rough and raw. It says, I will also reject thee, that thou should be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power. You've been under the influence of Christianity, and it got most of our people in a stupor, in a drunken stupor, in the spiritual sense. They're drunken, but not with wine. It says, I will also forget thy children. That's why you got a generation of YNs and little ninjas and Keishas and, gorillas and unsexy reds and what's his other demon name? All these demons, right? That is influencing this generation. They have no morals, no understanding about what's really going on in the big grand scheme of things, nor do they care. They just trying to get to the next fun and the next folly and the next TikTok challenge. Let's go here. But Marvin not, because the Lord told us it was going to be this way. Proverbs 18:2 states that a fool takes no pleasure in understanding. That's Jake. Jake don't try to contemplate and see what we saying is the truth, because their mind has already been pricked, right? Like you prick your hand with a needle. They don't want no understanding. A lot of Jakes come to debate. They come to try to gainsay. We ain't doing that shit. But delights in expressing his own opinions. And this applies to men and women. That's all social media is full of, people that got fucking opinions. It says this verse highlights the difference between a wise person who seeks knowledge and understanding and a fool who prioritizes expressing their opinions, regardless, check this out, regardless of their accuracy or lack of understanding. You hear this? That's heavy. Because people don't look into the facts. They don't want to look into what we're saying and see if it's true, to contemplate this. To consider, their mind is already made up. They've been bitten by the serpent, man. Let's go here. I want to go to the term oppression, because our people trust in oppression. So that means if it's oppression, that means it got to be oppressor. All right? It says oppression. It says prolonged, cruel, and unjust treatment or control. Let's go to these similar words. But yeah, it's heavy. It says enslavement. It says exploitation. It says misery. So our people trust in exploitation. They trust in misery. They trust in injustice, right? They trust in suffering, right? Tyranny. They trust in this. Subjugation. That's what they trust in. Because long as Jake can have a job in this system and he can be able to do his bullshit on the weekend, roll his blunts up, right? Talk his shit. That's all a ninja want to do. Them are the 2/3. And you got different variations of these Jakes. You got Jakes into all kind of manner of wickedness. But, when they called out on it, they get offended. Going back to this image right here. This image right here is one of the biggest strongholds on the world, right? When you tell them that it's a lie, that the Messiah was a so-called black man, Jacob tried to put you to death, right? And an elder had went into the video going into the Jet magazine cover. The Jet magazine, when they had a so-called black Jesus on there, so you can understand what I'm saying. Most of the people was going to cancel their subscription of Jet magazine. And go to show you how this was back in the 60s. All right. Hopefully this lesson was edifying. Call Allah Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah Bahashem Rachak Quadash. Shalom.